5k. And then I died.
My poor FPS.
No!
5.2.
Fuck you, game. Fuck you, game. How the devil. So the new patch has landed, and the dust has settled. Here are some of my thoughts, but before we start, put your slippers on and grab a brew, it's going to be another long one. So, that free-to-play snuck up on us. Tell your friends, family and strangers in the street. Sing it from the towers and print it in your local newspapers. Let's get some more folks up on in this house and raise the roof. So the free-to-play announcement has caused a little dissension and confusion amongst the ranks. However, I reckon we throw all that aside and rejoice at the prospect that this should start bringing more players on board. That's some pretty damn great news. I'm loving the new minigame, maybe a little too much. I wish it was a standalone game in fact. Hit me up in the comments below, I'm intrigued to see what people's best scores are so far. Starting off with the classic ship concept segment, I'd really like to see more light and medium attack ships that can put out enough damage to realistically threaten a heavy whilst maintaining some agility. I appreciate we have ships like the Pioneer and the Brawler, but they aren't the quickest of ships in the game, and with the Hunter and Enforcer nerfs, I feel the agility based damage dealing ship market is growing ever thinner. This also ties into my next thought. I'd also like to see some more Playmaker ships. By this I mean ships that can dance and weave through space similar to the Hunter, Enforcer, Ghost and Raider, if it did more damage. The best way I can currently see for this to be implemented without revisiting Blink again so soon would be a ship that has a magazine boost, similar to the Sentinel's boost but on a dumbfire ship. Not a smart cannon ship. Something with limited firing arcs but a little more bang for the pound. Something else I'd quite like to see are crew which don't just have flat benefits to a specific ship system, but also have a perk in game. For example, a ship with a marker, which obviously has a cooldown. Think Fleet Commander. You paint a target, it lights up clearer than the other ships in the vicinity, all attacks against it do additional damage. Or maybe an AoE steroid which briefly increases the team's fire rate or defense. These could also easily be transposed into a specific support ship that's designed to buff a team's performance. Maybe even a ship that has stances similar to the Gladiator, but it can only have one active at a time. Now, moving on from ship concepts, that ECG tournament was intense. I've uploaded my perspective of the match, really enjoyed it, and it had everything you need. Highs, lows, nail biting and rejoicing, plus a prize at the end. What more can I ask for? However, this does lead me on to the current meta, which has in fact just received a massive boost in the form of the Paladin. More on that one later. So, talking competitively, we tried to play fun compositions. However, this resulted in us paying a hefty price. Current meta revolves heavily around Colossi and healer support. It takes an exceptionally strong team of players with a solid understanding of meta to break this mould, as Solid State Team demonstrated. I feel the inclusion of a alternating draft might help alleviate this somewhat, as the Colossi healer combo is currently a very safe bet and is much more forgiving if mistakes are made. Either way, I really hope we can transition past this soon, as I feel far too many ships are overlooked in favour of this classic win composition. I for one am on a one-man mission to resurrect Zarek meta. Who'd have figured? We're also going to address the elephant in the room, that Colossus nerf. It's still too strong, but isn't specifically because of what it is, though it is a nice package of crowd control, disables, tankiness and ramming speed, tied into a wall of frame-sucking flak which, given enough time and healer support, will bring the mightiest of gladiators low. Seriously, it has the only auto attack in the game that actually has detrimental effect on your aim passively whilst you're being shot, and it shares it with the Black Widow. What's that about? It's because of how well it synergizes with everything you can put it in a team. It doesn't have any natural predators that can compete against it when it has a healer. To this end, rather than suggesting it be nerfed, I'd rather see it dealt with in one of the following ways. Keep in mind this wouldn't just affect the Colossus but heavies in general. Firstly, it'd be nice to have a support ship that removes status effects as regularly and reliably as the stun on a Colossus. This would allow us to mitigate some of its effect at the cost of a counter pick. I can live with this. It seems fair. Second, and my preferred, I think, is the creation of a ship specifically designed to counter heavies, but it's poor against lights. This way it counters it rather than just replacing it. Off the top of my head, the best idea I've had so far is a ship that does flat damage plus a percentage of the target's health if its health pool is over the value of X. This way it can be tailored to do large damage to heavies, but it would be quite a lot more ineffective versus lights. See what I did there? Counterplay. After all, we have percent heal abilities, why can't we have percent damage ships? New ships. So, that paladin's a bit strong, isn't it? A ship shouldn't be able to AoE heal and keep a whole team alive in the way we did in last weekend's tournament. It makes it the most obvious dedicated healer choice at the moment. It also shouldn't be able to 1v1 most combat ships and come out on top. Sure, as long as they engage at range, they are fine. But then what about those poor enforcers? Nobody thinks about the poor enforcers, they have families to feed as well. And making credits isn't easy with this bad boy zooming around, mitigating all your damage and healing for a crap ton. I don't think it needs leech, given the fact it usually ends up close enough to its target to spam its heal, which is AoE, and so strong it resulted in the early retirement for the protector. For a squishy healer that's supposed to need support, it tends to duel a little too well. In summary, the paladin is most definitely coming swinging out the gate. Incidentally, Ludologist, I told you it'd be a combat healer. This is starting to make me think ECG don't like Zarek that much. I like the super lifter. It isn't a dedicated healer, more of a field medic patching people up on the fly with super glue. I feel it could do with a little bit of a buff, but I think it's largely been overshadowed by the paladin. I also quite like this though, because most people ignore it whilst it's tearing them apart. It feels like a more mobile version of a brawler. Nice contrast between heals and damage, but sadly not strong enough in either area to really make it stand out. I think it needs either a tweak to its damage, tugs or heal, nothing major, just a little something to clarify its battlefield role a little more. Personally, I think it'd be great if the tugs didn't just flat die at the mention of PDS. I think I see what ECG are going with. The idea appears to be the tugs get heavy slow ass ships to the front line and then you recall them or lose them. I don't think they are designed to be attached to a ship that already excels in brawling in order to make it even better. If this is the case, then I would most definitely suggest a lower cooldown, as they melt like butter on a pavement in the middle of June at the moment. I think it's a great ship in pug matches, but I really do feel it needs that little something I can't quite put my hand on in order for it to make its serious appearance on the grand old stage of competitive play. Unless this is the start of a whole new range of support types, in which case I close my mouth and stare on with awe and intent to await the outcome. As for the crew system, I quite like it. I like the spinny thing, it's fun. So now I've got that out there, put your pitchforks down and relax yourselves. ECG have clearly stated this is the first iteration of the crew system. It has to start somewhere. Keeping this in mind, I would advise against using platinum to purchase drop pods until we know exactly how the system is going to end up, or at least get clarification you aren't throwing your money to the wind. Given my experience so far with the game, I wholeheartedly feel that if the system did change in such a grand way, ECG would find a way of making it back to those people who have used platinum. I'm just playing it safe at the moment, plus I can't buy skins with credits and that's where my platinum's going, on the shiny shinies. I can however understand why some people may be suffering for it if they don't have the same amount of spare credits as myself. It's quite a grind. I also prefer getting that extra crew member rather than the DNA pods. The repeats tend to yield more DNA on average. I would however suggest maybe the inclusion of a limit on how many times you can pull the same crew member. Not so much as I have a problem with it, but I can understand how it can be annoying and demoralising if you pull the same crew member over and over if there are another 25 you don't currently have. I was going to say we could really spice it up by adding an extremely small chance that you might get one of the cheaper ship skins. Obviously if you already have it, then it just subs it out for DNA without ever letting you know. I think that might cause even more rage otherwise. However, ECG beat me to this by including platinum in the mix. Nice. I feel I've been quite lucky as a longer standing player of the game. I received my refund for the crews I had, and between that and dropping a couple of million credits into drop pods, I've managed to get most of the crew I was after, though Mira and Zhang are ever elusive. Sadly though, the Kaika credit retirement fund is now however empty, but hey, you can't take it with you. Thoroughly enjoying the new sectors. I think they're great, the cover's beautiful and it adds a bit more dynamic play, plus I like the dark dingy feel. It feels a little bit more like how space should feel, and you get to see all the shiny lights. Something I would quite like to see added to the game though is a little more clarity to the chat box. At the moment, jump messages aren't clearly discerned from disconnection messages and the likes. I think it'd also be pretty cool to have a side chat message that notifies you if an opponent jumps when they are targeted by an ally. Obviously it shouldn't say where they're jumping to, but I think it might be a nice way to get past some of those miscommunications when you jump to a sector and find that your target has left. This is one of those things that's completely mitigated when talking with friends over a live chat system such as TeamSpeak or Discord, but an issue I see a lot when playing in pug matches. Now, drifting away from the patch, someone asked me the other day in game about the more advanced tactics video I intend to do. I've been waiting for the patch to see how much it affects the videos, even if it's only down to the cosmetics. Now it's here, I just need to round up a couple of friends so I can film the footage, though I may have to give up sleeping if I want to get all this nailed down. In conclusion, although it's had a rough landing and some poor presentation in parts, I'm most definitely giving this patch 9 bananas out of a rock. If you've enjoyed this, please smash the like button, or the dislike button if it takes your fancy. I'm watching you. And until next time, stay well as always.